Hello, everyone. 10 minutes with Barb and Ron. Barb Gentili Green here.
Barb, I can't look at me. I just can't stop smiling because of our guest today. We have one of the most famous people today as a guest from the state of Wisconsin. And, I think the only other person as famous as her is Jane Bischoff, okay? The two of them, they're just, I'm just going to turn it over to Melissa Emler and let her introduce herself.
Yeah, well, thanks, Ron. I'm definitely not famous in the reality of famousness, but I am the statewide systems coach for Universal Design for Learning in Wisconsin. And I work really closely with my partner, Jane Bischoff, who is the Department of Public Instruction's consultant on the UDL project. And so we do a lot of work with UDL in Wisconsin, and that work is spilling over. So you probably have seen me talking about UDL or other things in the social world. And I don't know about famous, but I'm spilling over. I'm spilling out of the state. That's for sure.
Well, you run a wonderful once a month gathering that I know I like to go to. And you always welcome me, even though I'm from Ohio. So I think that's pretty cool. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
So we, our UDL systems rollout has been really strategic. And that whole work was designed by Jane and her project. But we do a monthly community of practice, and the community of practice conversation is based on the theme of our monthly newsletter. And the themes of our monthly newsletter essentially function as an onboarding curriculum to the granular concepts of universal design for learning. And so we drip those out monthly, and then we have the community of practice each month to sort of elevate those conversations. And we're evolving a little bit. Next year, we're going to have our community of practice in an always-on environment and still do the community of practice gathering once a month, but we'll be in a closed environment so that we can record and people can still feel safe to learn and practice, which we haven't been recording our community of practice because we want to make sure that it's accessible to people in the freedom to learn so they can explore their ideas and say things that aren't fleshed out. But in the always on community of practice, we'll create that safe environment in a wraparound, always on, always available space. So we're excited about that shift. And lots of cool things coming.
Wow.
Oh, I love it. Your passion is so exciting. And, only on 10 Minutes with Barb and Ron can we hear the words dripping out and elevating in one sentence around UDL implementation. I love it. That's such a great visual. I can just see you sprinkling and dripping, and then let's have this conversation that brings it to a higher level. Oh, I love it.
Yes. And it's interesting because when you can drip it out, you as a teacher or a practitioner of UDL, you'd feel like you stop feeling like you have to fire hose all that stuff at people, because UDL is complex and it's nuanced. And so when we can slowly drip out those nuances and flesh them out, we then have that content to revisit in a subsequent conversation, because everything does come back, but people remember it more when it's not coming at them in a fire hose all in one day kind of way. Jane always says it takes a little bit of time to learn about UDL and a lifetime to practice it. And so our project sort of reflects that thinking for sure.
Such great quotes. And Barb, we went from dripping to fire hose. Did you notice that?
Yes.
I just, one end of the spectrum to the other, just like UDL, we just hit everything.
We do.
I can, full disclosure, I've done the fire hose approach as a PD provider. You are so right. You just have limited time and you want to get all this information out. And then at the end of the day, you wonder, did they take anything away that we just threw or fire hosed them with? So.
Well, and it's completely in contradiction to what we know about universal design for learning and making sure that people have time to set meaningful goals, personally meaningful goals, and then time to reflect on, did this experience help you get closer to the goal? And what do you need to do next? So we always think of our community of practice and our newsletter as the invitation and the inspiration to invite people to want to learn more. And as long as people want to learn more about UDL, there's always another conversation to have.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
We always say, leave them hungry.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're doing that, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
So, Ron, do you have a question for Missy that you want to pick her brain a little more about?
I do have a question. I have a good question. I'm going to look over here and make sure I get it right. Tell us a little bit about your belief of achievement and learning.
Yeah. So if you attend a professional learning experience with me, and it's essentially your onboarding to Universal Design for Learning, me and some of our statewide colleagues will always ask the group to compare and contrast achievement and learning. And we encourage people to do that in a point counterpoint way. And the reason we do that is because we believe that what makes UDL so special is that the focus is on learning. And what makes UDL so complicated to roll out and systematize is the system's focus on achievement. And so until you can call out the focus on achievement, it's very difficult to get to a universal design for learning implementation where the focus must be on learning. So just a couple of the things that typically come out. Learning is ongoing. Achievement is point in time. Learning is determined by the individual learner, whether or not it has happened. Achievement is meeting the standards of an external body. Learning is messy and a process, and achievement, that moment in time is staged, celebratory, clean, perfect. You know, like think of this, you're getting on stage to celebrate something, and it's usually an achievement. But something that our team has come to within the last month's time as it relates to this compare and contrast achievement and learning is something that is really hard. And it's a pushy question, and people might get a little sweaty and nervous when we say this, but this is true. And we're coming to get more clarity when I say it each time. But achievement in and of itself is a mechanism for sorting kids and people. And if our schools really want to be an inclusive environment, we can no longer accept the focus on achievement, because just that in and of itself becomes exclusive. It is, achievement is meant for those who can and those who can't, or those who do, and it separates those who can and from those who can't, and those who do from those who don't. Learning, everyone learns. It always happens. It's natural. It's natural, it's social, and it's guaranteed, automatic. It's going to happen. And achievement happens because somebody else says you've achieved something, and we create the gaps we're trying to close by creating the achievement system and putting all of the focus there. In and of itself, it sorts kids.
Man, that is, Ron's out.
Wow. With that, I mean, whew, I want to talk more. But with that, Barb is out. We'll come back another time to keep going with this great conversation.
Sounds great. Bye, guys.
Bye. YouTube, please subscribe. Like, comment, and share.